We are at the Oklahoma State Capitol. This place has a lot of neat things.
It's also a great place for a field trip, especially right now because Alex is studying Oklahoma civics. Plus, since the legislature is in session, it was a great opportunity to see things in action. We wanted to see how bills get passed into laws and find out more about the work representatives do.
So we can see our representative, Mr. Duel.
Before we jump into that, let's cover some background basics. The Oklahoma legislature, like most states, is made up of two bodies. There is the House of Representatives, which consists of 101 members. Each is elected for a 2-year term, and this is the House floor where they debate and vote. And the second body is the Senate, which has 48 members and serves 4 years. And this is the Senate floor.
I got to hold the gavel.
Oklahoma was the first state to pass term limits, meaning a person is limited to serving no more than 12 years as a representative and or senator. Every Oklahoma resident has one senator and one representative.
Let's hear from Representative Duel. What kind of things do you do as a House member?
So right now we are meeting with constituents. We are working our bills through the committee process. So that looks like meeting with other committee members of the committee where your bills are assigned. So I'm doing that, and then we kind of dedicate our Fridays to spending as much time in the district as possible. So it's nice for me because I have about a 35-minute drive to the Capitol, but there's other members who live in a more rural part of the state who they will actually stay at the Capitol Monday through Thursday and then drive home Thursday night. And so that allows them to spend time in their district meeting with constituents there and discussing issues. So day to day, there's just meetings throughout the day, whether it's with individuals who might be passionate about some bills that are filed, or meeting with fellow representatives to discuss the bills that you have filed or the bills that they've filed.
Let's see how they turn bills into laws. Step 1, ideas for bills.
The idea for bills can come from anyone, but they must find a representative or a senator to author the bill to get it introduced. For simplicity, we will just follow a bill's path if it gets introduced into the House.
Step 2, research and drafting.
If you have an idea about a potential bill that you want filed, they have to be structured and written in a certain way. So you submit your idea down to staff attorneys who then do their best to draft the bill in the proper format of what you want to get done.
Step 3, the bill gets a number.
House bills start with the letters HB, and Senate bills start with the letters SB. Those letters are followed by a number to make tracking the bill easier.
Step 4, first reading of the bill.
The first reading means that it has been posted publicly, and that requires no action by the House. Every bill that gets filed gets a first reading.
Step 5, second reading of the bill.
This process can be very streamlined on the House floor. The Speaker submits a list of bills he or she wants to be approved as second read so they can move on to the next step. In Oklahoma, usually all bills move forward, but the Speaker could kill a bill at this point by not submitting it for its second reading.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that pursuant to the list emailed to the membership of the House from the Majority Leader Floor's office, that said measures be considered read for the second time.
Members, you have heard the order. You've heard the motion. Without objection, that will be the order.
Step 6, the bill gets assigned to a committee.
The Speaker of the House assigns the bill to a committee. There are 29 current committees, each with 5 to 12 members. A lot of the action happens here. Bills can die in committee if they decide not to act on it or if they vote against it. It may also get amended in committee if the author agrees to allow it. Representative Duel explains more.
At that point, the bill will get assigned to a committee. And usually if you file a bill that has to do with the legal industry or judges or something like that, there are certain committees that tend to have industry professionals within them, and that bill will go to that committee. So at that point, it's kind of what we're going through right now. We know what committees our respective bills have been assigned to. So I will then, and other representatives do the same thing, go meet with the committee chairs and the committee members and have discussions, conversations with them about the bill, whether or not there need to be any amendments, do they have any suggestions on amending it, and then you ask the committee chair if he would hear your bill once you think that it's ready. And once your bill is heard, and this is in the House, once it's heard, you present it to the committee at large, and the committee will vote on it. And if it passes, if it gets enough votes, then it'll get out of the committee.
And here's a short clip of a bill being read and discussed in a committee.
Representative Strom, you are recognized to present House Bill 1329.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. House Bill 1329. The purpose of this legislation is to establish in statute that the chain of responsibility for building and maintaining good fences around grazing land includes state agencies that own or lease land. Good fences make good neighbors, and we want to make sure that the state is always a good neighbor. Yield any questions.
Representative Grego, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good fences, okay, so we've got a property wildlife owns, and it's not used for grazing. It's used for wildlife management. Is this going to put a burden on them to fence their perimeter to keep cattle from other people off of them?
It encourages the state agency that owns the land to make sure that it does have a fence, or that their leasee or whoever keeps up a good fence on their side.
But
For a follow-up.
thank you. But my question is the neighbor. Is it so if I own land next to the wildlife department and they don't want a fence because they don't have any livestock, it's just wildlife,
You would
does
still
this
be
put the burden on the fence
Same.
on me or them?
You would still be responsible as separate landowners, as in every other part of statute, that you would both be responsible for your part of the fence in between the property, in labor or cost.
For a follow-up.
You're aware they're not doing that?
I'm very aware.
Step 7. The bill is added to the calendar.
If a bill passes out of committee, it doesn't necessarily go to the full House for consideration. First, the floor leader must schedule it on the calendar. If it never gets scheduled, the bill dies.
Step 8. The bill goes to the House floor.
On the House floor, the bill gets explained, possibly amended, debated, and voted on. If it doesn't get a majority, the bill dies. If it passes, it moves ahead.
At that point, then you're trying to get your bill heard on the floor of the House. So you're working with the floor leader team, seeing if they will take a vote in the House of Representatives on your bill. Once it's heard there, and if you get enough votes and you pass it out of the House, then it goes over to the Senate to start the process all over again.
Step 9. It's engrossed to the Senate.
Bills that pass the House move over to the Senate because both chambers must pass a bill before it can become a law. The bills that move over from the House follow a similar process as they went through in the House, including first and second readings, committee assignments, committee hearings and votes, and scheduling and floor votes. The bill could die in the Senate, be passed, or be passed with amendments.
Step 10. Binding agreement.
Passing the bill without amendments is the most straightforward, so we'll call that Path A. In this case, it goes to the governor, where he or she has options on passing or blocking it. Path B would be if the bill passed the Senate with amendments. It can get a House floor vote, and if a majority agrees with the changes, then it moves on to the governor. Path C would be if the House doesn't agree with the amendments by the Senate. The bill would go through a reconciliation process. On this path, the bill would need to get assigned to a conference committee made up of members from both houses. That committee would have to reach an agreement. The bill would then go back to both houses for voting. If it got that far and received a majority favorable vote, it would then go to the governor.
Step 11, the bill goes to the governor's desk.
No matter which path the bill is taken, if it has successfully gotten this far, it is now in front of the governor. He or she may sign the bill, making it a law, not act on it, where it becomes law after 5 days, provided it's not at a special period at the end of the session. Veto the bill, sending it back to the legislator for an opportunity to override the veto. Pocket veto, which is a special deadline circumstance at the end of a session. Speaking of deadlines, there are all sorts of time deadlines for actions to be taken on a bill throughout the process. Miss a deadline, and the bill dies. With over 3,000 bills filed this year, and the regular session only lasting from February till May, there simply isn't enough time for all the bills to make it through every step. There are also some special circumstances, rules, and details, and we didn't try to cover them all.
Most bills are not successful.
Between authoring bills, shepherding bills along, committee work, floor votes, meeting with constituents, and other stakeholders, there is a lot going on. We asked Mr. Duel about the biggest hurdle in passing a bill and his experience as a freshman representative so far.
Is there one step of all that that's the most difficult, the highest bar to get through?
As I said before, this is my freshman year, so I'm just working my way through it now. I think that just from what I've heard and kind of the environment that we're in is once it's out of your hands, out of the House and over to the Senate, then you kind of have less control. So I don't know if that's necessarily hard, but it's out of your hands. You have less control over who you're able to talk to get it heard. But I think once you get it out of committee, there's a pretty solid chance that you could get it heard on the floor. But once it goes to the Senate, it's out of your hands. So maybe right then might be the hardest step because you're letting it go and hoping that it comes back unchanged.
That was awesome. Any other questions?
I don't really think.
And so do you know what it means when he says he's freshman? It means he was just elected. This is his first term. And he's elected. Do you remember when we went to go vote? And we went to Guthrie? Okay, so he was running for election. And our district elected him to come serve us. It's his first term here. What's been the most surprising thing?
I knew it was going to be fast paced, but I didn't. I found that it's harder to get a hold of the like relative committee chairs because they have meetings too, just like me. So I'll have my assistant call their assistant and see if I can come down and talk to them about my bill, see if they have any questions, so that I can kind of nudge them along or encourage them to hear it. Or if they're not going to hear it, let me know so I can start working these other ones. So just it's not lack of communication. It's kind of just high speed trying to meet with these different people and different moving pieces. And it's, moderately fast-paced. Yeah, a lot going on.
So you may be thinking the process to pass a bill is sort of complicated and arduous.
And you'd be right.
But it's that way by design, and it has benefits. The process gives time for public input and debate. And building a consensus requires incorporating many views and accounting for different perspectives. These things are important because legislation affects all of our lives.
Thank you, Representative Duel, for teaching me more about the lawmaking process.
And thank you and all of your fellow legislators for serving the state of Oklahoma.
I know you all love Oklahoma as much as I do, so I know you will all do your very best. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.